our BU Seminary and Call Stories. And this morning we have Uche Awa will be presenting her call story. So, Uche, take us away.
So my name is Uche, for short, Uchenna, and I'm happy to share my call story with you all. So I grew up in a Christian home where my parents taught me godly principles. I come from a very big family, and growing up, my parents, these are pictures of my family members. So growing up, my parents ensured that we went to church every week. We had to attend Bible studies. We had to go to church Sunday service, youth activities, night vigil, name it. We were in church. And then at home, we would have to have our morning and night devotions. And every time we had those devotions, my parents would ask us to pick a portion of the Bible and explain. So every time we had to be prepared with something to share. And as a child, I learned how to pray by, watching my mom pray. And then when she's praying, I would join her. And that's how I learned how to start praying. So these are my nephews. This is just a bit of the family, not everyone. So from my early years, I had a passion for God and humanity. So I'm using this picture because if you can see, the girl in front is my sister, not me. We were part of a bridal train. And so she was already upset that we were out in the sun for over 5 minutes. So we hadn't gone into the church. But you can see me behind helping a little girl fix her hair. So for a very long time, I've been interested in helping people. And when I saw this picture, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I didn't even know I had started caring or showing care towards people from an early age. So, I always wanted to do what pleased God, because that was the teaching my parents taught me at home. And my mom would always say, you have to measure your actions, your words, and see if they pleased God. And so growing up, I had this consciousness in my heart that I needed to please God in what I do and what I say. And from my high school, I went to a school called Baptist High School. And this school is in Jos. And, in my time, it was a very good school. It was known to be the best in Jos. So that was where I attended. And while I was in school, I met a teacher called Miss Gaines, and she was my Christian religious teacher. So she taught us the Bible, and the way she taught the Bible made me to understand and appreciate the Bible more. And then in class 3, I genuinely gave my life to Christ. Gaines really impacted me. And then she would always tell me to memorize portions of the Bible, and I would come and recite them in class or to her word for word. And even till this day, there are portions I have never forgotten, like Psalm 91, Psalm 24, Psalm 23. And then when I went back home after school, I started displaying my spiritual growth. I would take charge of the family morning devotions. I even organized my siblings. We had a family choir, and so we'd sing in church every Sunday. And so, I was so involved I was involved and so passionate about church activities, and then it got to a stage, my family and my siblings, they nicknamed me Sister Fervy. Sister Fervy is just means sister, fervent sister, so every time I do something, it's like Sister Fervy, so that was a nickname they gave me. And then when I graduated from high school, it was time for me to choose a career path. And I decided to choose law because my dad, he was a lawyer, he was my mentor, and so I decided to pursue law in University of Jos and University of Abuja. Um, it was a decision that pleased my dad because he dreamed of having his children, do law and take over from him, take over his chambers. And, so me agreeing to study law made him so happy. When I got into university, I made friends with people who were not really interested in the things of God. And gradually, I lost interest in serving God. I wouldn't go to church services. I would even join Christian clubs. And so my friends and I, we lived our lives on the fast lane. It was party every day. And I didn't even like the fact that Sunday I couldn't party. Yes. So in that time, I lost my interest, my passion for God dwindled. And so when I got home, or anytime I get home, my mom would say, "Is everything okay?" Like she noticed some changes. I would say everything is fine. I was pretending, you know. And if she asked me, "Why are you not going to church today?" I would say, "Oh, something came up." I gave excuses. My mom, tried to counsel me. She was trying to talk to me about the life I was living, and you know, but she wasn't doing it out of like in an angry tone. She showed me love. She would counsel me. It touched me, but I I didn't want to change. I wasn't ready. And she told me she was always praying for me and that she believed that a day would come I would go back to serving God. So fast forward, I graduated, and in 2004 I was called to the Nigerian bar. And with that certificate, I can, practice law, be an advocate in my country. When I was called, in my heart, I felt like I had found my calling. I could use what I had to help people, especially the oppressed. So I was happy. And then this made my dad very happy too, because, you know, he finally got one of his daughters to read law. So I gave my job my all. I was dedicated, and not before long, I was known in the legal circles in Abuja. But a time came that all the victories I had, and the cases I was taking and triumphing, the accolades from my peers, my boss, my seniors, senior advocates, even judges, left me feeling empty. I wasn't happy anymore. I no longer enjoyed the lifestyle I led. So no satisfaction, no joy. Everything I did was, meant nothing to me. So in that time, I lost my peace and my happiness. I became restless. I became sad, and I felt so empty. One day, hanging out with my friends, I learned that a close friend had died from overdose of cocaine. I I had to, start talking to myself. I'm like, and because the way she died was she was with people and she had money, we had money. So when she was ODing, no one took her to the hospital. Everyone ran and left her. And for me, when I heard that story, I was like, wow, you're counting on people, but they're not there for you. So in a way, I knew that I had to find my way back to God, because I knew that there was something missing. And I have also survived near death experiences. And after the last one that happened to me, I was like, man, I think God is keeping me for something, to serve Him. I can't run away from the call. And so I began to hunger for God, for something greater than myself. Um, the thing is, I knew I had a call on my life and I'd been running away. But what was so funny was I was running from God to God. I was running from Christ to Christ, and with that realization, I rededicated my life to God, and I felt peace. I felt joy restored. And God even empowered me to live a changed life. And my family were surprised because they saw the difference in the way I behaved, the way I talked. I also believe that my mom's prayers brought me to this point in my life. because she never stopped praying for me. And also, God's prevenient grace was prevalent for me. And it was grace that brought me back to God. After practicing for some years, I decided to change career path. I worked in various NGOs until I came to Boston to pursue my Master's of Divinity. In my time in Boston, I experienced a faith crisis. And this was because I learned that Jesus wasn't the white skinned, blue eye man I grew up seeing in churches, but possibly a darker skin. And also learning about the role the church played in slave trade made me wonder about the validity of the faith I had received. The way I could, survive this crisis was to fall back to my personal relationship with Jesus, with God, with the Holy Spirit. Um, so looking back at my trials and how God had brought me through them, restored me back in faith. So at this time in my faith journey, my understanding of what my call is to be an elder in the United Methodist Church. Currently, I am doing a clinical chaplaincy in MGH, and I have used my past experience to meet patients to provide support to them. So my judge call story would not be complete if I do not mention some people who have been a source of support, who have been an influence in my life. And that is number one, my grandmom. She has been a great support to me. Her name is Joanna Achono. My mother, as you all know, I told a bit about her, Dr. Uche Awa, Ms. Gaines, my CRK teacher, Dr. De La Rosa, my teacher in BU and mentor, Jennifer, East August Methodist Church, just to mention a few for time's sake. So in conclusion, I see my call as having a fluid nature. From my story, you can see I started off as a lawyer. Now I'm here doing theology, doing CPE, being a chaplain. And I'm really open to where the Spirit leads me. So I just want to end by saying thank you for your time. Thank you for the opportunity to share my call story.